G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to go through two really important exercises to help treat the root underlying cause of osteitis pubis. Now, for anyone who has heard of osteitis pubis, you'll know that it can be a really debilitating groin injury. And for those who don't know, osteitis pubis tends to affect the pubic area, the pubic bone. It tends to get inflamed and irritated and can be really hazardous to a lot of athletes in terms of their athleticism. It can be very painful and it can hang around for a long time. And one of the things that I see a lot with osteitis pubis is, like a lot of the conditions that we talk about on the channel, we're very much specifically targeting the symptoms and some of the sort of close areas around that for treatment. And in my opinion, that can be one of the reasons why it can drag out quite a long time for a lot of people, for a lot of patients, and a lot of athletes, is because we may not necessarily be taking that big enough step back to consider the root cause of that issue. And again, like a lot of the things that we sort of talk about on the channel, often the root cause of the underlying issue associated with common problems isn't necessarily just a weakness, but a stiffness and a tightness, something that's a little bit more hidden, a little bit more covert, but it is invariably there and causing something around it to become dysfunctional, which in this case is the pubic bone or the pubic area for a lot of people. So again, one of the things that we want to go through is, and by the end of this, hopefully you'll have a broader perspective of sort of potentially the reasons why osteitis pubis becomes a thing. But again, if we're looking for that pubic bone, so just above the genitals, just lower than the abdominal area, that area tends to become overloaded and inflamed for a lot of athletes. And I guess the main reason for that I see clinically generally comes back to two things. The main one, I think, comes back to genuine joint stiffness, hip joint stiffness next to that pubic area. And the reason for that is, if that hip joint itself and the capsule that surrounds the hip joint, that sort of thick fibrous connective tissue that encapsulates the joint, which is why it's called the capsule, that deep soft tissue can become very stiff for a number of reasons. It can be because we sit a lot, it can be because of the modern lifestyle. And if that capsule becomes stiff and those hips don't move and absorb sort of movement as well as it should, then it can shunt a lot of unnecessary force to anything around that hip joint, to which the pelvic area, where a lot of the groin muscles, the abdominal muscles attach into. It can overload that area and create a lot of dysfunction, or at least the potential for a lot of dysfunction, which can lead to osteitis pubis. So one of the exercises that we'll get to in a second is one that we've done on the channel before. It's one of my favorite hip capsule stretches or hip joint stretches of all time. It's one of the fastest acting and most impactful exercises I've seen as a physical therapist. We'll get to that in a second. The second area that I find gets missed a lot with osteitis pubis is lower back dysfunction. And we're not just talking about the classic, weak core muscles or even sort of the weak glutes in that sense as well, but we're talking the same theme that we're promoting here about hidden underlying joint stiffness in the low back. And the area that we're going to look for is that sort of base of the rib cage, top of the lumbar spine, where it has a lot of muscles or a lot of neural connections to the groin area, but also mechanically there's a lot of muscles like the hip flexors that attach from the front of the leg up into the front of the spine, which can sort of create a lot of direct and indirect dysfunction that ends up with that sort of groin area becoming dysfunctional. So just to preempt the two exercises, we're going to go through an exercise to improve your hip mobility pretty quickly and an exercise to improve your back mobility pretty quickly. And we want to make sure that you see some genuine change with this straight away. So one of the things that I'll get someone to do before we do this hip stretch is we always want to do a test and a retest, so you don't have to believe what I'm saying, you can see it for yourself. And for me personally, one of the best ways to get a sense of what your hips are doing is just to practice a deep squat, just to get down as deep as you feel comfortable without letting your heels come off the ground, without letting your back round too much, without wanting to fall backwards too far. Trying to keep your heels on the ground, lower your hips down as far as you feel comfortable before you feel like you're going to cheat to get there or cheat to change position. So we want to get a good sense of how that feels, how that makes your osteitis pubis or your groin feel. We're going to do this hip stretch, and we're going to come back and do that again. And we want to make sure that you feel a genuine difference in terms of your mobility, hopefully some pain and discomfort if you're in pain and discomfort at the moment. But ultimately, if we can feed a lot more slack into the hips and into the pubic area, we can take away one of the major reasons for why that area is becoming overloaded in the first place. So So the exercise, the hip capsule exercise, requires a band, a power band, and I'll leave a link in the description to what a power band looks like, and you can get them on Amazon, any sporting goods store, but there's a link below to find that. You don't have to use the band if you don't want to, but the band just adds such an extra layer of immediate benefit that if you can use a band, please do. You won't regret it. But the exercise itself that we'll do is you want to place the band right up into the hip, and we want to be in a position similar to this. So you're essentially 90 degrees with your hip. If you go too deep into this to begin with, then you might find you'll create some impingement or some discomfort in that pubic area. So again, you want to start at about 90 degrees and just work your way down to where you feel comfortable. But the band pulling from the side here really helps gap the hip joint, and it allows us to gain better access to the hip capsule as well. So the first part of this exercise is you want to rotate your leg underneath and drop the back leg to block that. So we're putting this leg in external rotation. We're biasing the external rotated part of the capsule, or at least the capsule that gets tight in that area. And then all we want to do here is keeping your hips and your shoulders, so your hips and your shoulders together. We want to translate your trunk parallel to the ground, and we're looking to imagine that this leg or this thigh bone is pushing out the back corner of your hip. So you'll hopefully feel a bit of a pressure through here. We're not sort of dumping the hips down, we're not sort of twisting the trunk, we're just translating everything across and sort of moving up and down, trying to find where the best position is that generates the most pressure through here. And for me, this is a good position. So all we want to do is just hang out here for 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then obviously you can do it both sides if you need to, but I'll do it on the one side. Hopefully you'll see a bit of a change in the way that I squat after this. So again, spending a bit of time here, you can oscillate sort of more laterally if you want to, but again, you want to go hunting for that sort of pressure through the outside of the hip and nothing in the groin. Again, if you're feeling something in the groin here, something that isn't around this hip, then just come out of that a little bit more. So you're still across over the top, so you're translating across, but you're not into as much hip flexion, which can really jam up the joint. So that's part one. Part two, instead of rotating the foot inwards or rotating the entire leg inwards, we're going to bias the internal rotated part of the capsule, so, or at least the hip joint. So this time, keeping everything exactly the same, we're going to rotate that foot out as far as you feel comfortable before you start to hike up through that hip or through your back. So keeping everything still, rotating out as far as you feel comfortable, blocking that, and then coming back over the top of that again. So the exact same exercise as before, it's just that you're rotating your hip in a different position each time. So I'm still keeping everything connected, translating everything across. This time, instead of feeling a lot of tightness towards the back, you might find it's a little bit more towards the side, if not the front of that hip, towards that TFL area. But the idea here is, again, if you're feeling like it's groin pain or it's osteitis pubis pain, then just come out of the hip flexion aspect and just start here, because as we free this up, you'll be able to feel like you can go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper without causing that hip some grief or causing that groin some grief. So again, we want to stay here for 30 seconds to a minute, whatever you feel works for you. And then once you've done that, coming out of that, in terms of hip mobility, what you'll hopefully find here with me is doing this side, is that when I squat down again, all of a sudden it feels like I can get down a little bit deeper on this side than I could on my right side through here. So in order to improve the way that you're loading up that pubic area, that sort of osteitis pubis dysfunction, we want to make sure that you've got as much of your natural mobility through those hips as possible, because clinically a lack of that hip range, whether it's internal rotation, external rotation, hip flexion, is a real sort of problem in terms of shunting a lot of unnecessary load through that pubic area, which causes that overload through the bone and through the connections that get annoyed. So that's exercise number one. That hip capsule stretch is one of the best hip stretches you'll ever do. It should always give you immediate results if you're doing it properly. If you don't feel like you're getting it, let us know in the comments below. I can try and help you through that personally. But if not, just keep rewatching this portion of the video to make sure that you're getting the technique correct and you're feeling it in the right areas. So that's part number one. So exercise number one gets to one of the main causes of that osteitis pubis in the first place. Number two is we want to go after some of that back stiffness. Now you've got some options when you do this, is that you can use a foam roller, it's personal preference. You can use a tennis ball or lacrosse ball, but for the purposes of the video, Again, we've covered this a lot before, but it's a really important one for osteitis pubis, that we don't neglect that sort of potentially subtle and hidden low back dysfunction. If you stiffen your back, again, there's a chain reaction of events that means your groin can't function normally. And again, it can set it up for that dysfunction in the form of osteitis pubis. So what we want to do is, again, we're not necessarily looking at the base of the spine, we're looking at the base of the rib cage, which is a little bit higher up than a lot of people realize. But we want to place the foam roller in this area and we want to put some pressure through that. So again, as we say a lot on the channel, we're not interested in rolling. If we're going after the joint stiffness in your spine, those joints are segmentally very specific. So if you're rolling over the top of them, you're never really spending enough time on a spot. I don't know if I can show you this. Spending enough time to get a bit of pressure through each individual part of the spine to restore that normal motion. So again, as I said before, you can have a pillow behind you and lie back on that. What I like to do is I like to have my head on the ground, so lifting my bottom up to sort of cantilever that, and then just moving the roller around until I feel like I hit a spot that feels stiff, and then I can sort of tension that up by dropping my hips down to a level that feels comfortable for me. And we also want to bias one side. So for me, I want to roll a little bit to the left to hit the left-hand joints, or I can roll to the right a little bit to hit the right-hand joints. But the point is that once you find something that feels stiff for you, you want to stay here for, again, 30 seconds, a minute, until you feel like it starts to give and starts to release. Once you've had enough on that, then just move the roller up a tiny bit or down a tiny bit to make sure that you are finding all of the necessary pieces of the puzzle for you. And I think one of the interesting things about that, and you probably notice this a little bit more with the ball, is that we don't necessarily always see the low back stiffness on the same side as the osteitis pubis. We can also, and this goes for a lot of conditions that relate to the back, which is a lot more than people realize, instead of thinking about things in terms of left and right, just think about things in terms of stiffness or no stiffness. So if you have your roller or your ball, and say your sort of the left side is the worst of your sides, if it's both, then obviously this still applies, but it's not as dramatic. So if you're on that left-hand side and it feels like your groin pain or that osteitis pubis pain is on the left-hand side, if this feels stiffer than the right-hand side, by all means, spend more time just letting the ball press in, trying to free up those stiff segments. However, if you have your symptoms on this side, but you feel like the other side of your back is stiffer, then spend more time on this side, because your body doesn't know, or it doesn't value the labels of left and right. It just sees everything as a unified machine. Both sides work together as a whole. So for example, if I bunch up my shirt on the right-hand side, I still pull slack from the left, I pull slack from below, I pull slack from above. So in, I guess, terms of mechanics, if I'm still going out and doing things, but I have all this extra tension in all these different areas, as well as this one, technically any of this can become dysfunctional. So if someone pulled my shirt here, it might rip here. If they pull down here, it might rip down here. And it doesn't mean there's a problem with the fabric here. It just means that the tension was already changed or challenged because of this hidden stiffness. So if I take away this hidden stiffness and sort of feed all the natural slack back into the machine, then obviously it's another feature of trying to solve the underlying cause of your osteitis pubis. So as always, don't be seduced by the pain so much, be seduced by the stiffness and the tightness. Take away those mechanical blocks, try and restore as much normal function and motion directly or indirectly to that groin and sort of pubic area by freeing up the lower back. So those are the two exercises that I wanted to talk about. Again, there's plenty of other things that help with osteitis pubis in terms of massage and core strength work and glute strength work and adductor strengthening work, groin strength exercises. There's all these things that really help symptomatically. But I think there's often a bit of a gap in the bigger picture to say, well, these are the things that potentially are in place to set that pubic area up for failure when it does, to set you up for osteitis pubis. And because hip capsule stiffness isn't painful or tight, it doesn't feel like a muscular tightness. Stiffness in your lower back doesn't necessarily feel painful or a tight feeling like a muscle. Those areas can often get neglected and overlooked completely because there's no overt symptoms telling you to look there. But if you come to this video with osteitis pubis and you're looking for something sort of a little bit broader, or maybe a little bit more perspective as to why you've got osteitis pubis and what you can do to hopefully speed up your recovery from osteitis pubis, then you've got to look at that stiffness in your back and your hip joints. Otherwise, you might be missing something huge in terms of what's keeping it hanging around, what caused it, and what's going to help it go away long term. So as always, I hope that was really helpful. Let me know in the comments below. Like, tell me, how's your osteitis pubis going? How long have you had it for? What have you tried that's worked? Are you someone that's come to the channel and you're just looking for a Hail Mary? Hopefully this is it, but let me know below. I want to sort of start up a conversation so I can help you guys. And if you found this information useful, please consider leaving a like below, and also consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. Hopefully this sort of speaks to the type of content that we're promoting, where we're trying to give sort of some broader perspective about why things just don't go away on their own, and what some of those underlying causes are, as well as helpful treatments and exercises long term. So if you want to help us out, support the channel, but also sort of be part of something where we're trying to sort of really change the way people think about things, again, please consider liking and subscribing as well. So until next time, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you then. Bye.